Hi, my name is Beverly Okay, and today I'm going to be doing my topic on civil commitment. And basically, for y'all who don't know what civil commitment is a program that basically keeps sexually violent predators, not just sex offenders, but those who have been deemed too dangerous to go back into society. Normally, these offenders go under evaluation prior to their parole release, and they're um, they're analyzed by a health professional, and there's a lots of numerous instruments and tools that they use to determine whether this person is eligible for civil commitment. And I thought this topic was very important to me because I've had firsthand experience with civil commitment, and I think that I can offer solutions that can possibly save the community and also give these offenders back their lives because they deserve it, because they're people just like we are. So I'm going to start off with a little history. For all of y'all that don't know, civil commitment programs emerged in context of laws enacted since the 1900s that permit courts to determine sex offenders to be SVPs, which is sexually violent predators. These laws arose from high profile cases involving convicted sex offenders who have committed violent and tragic new offenses following their release in their community. So we all know about the Megan's Law, why the Megan's Law was created. The Megan's Law was created because a man moved into a community, a little girl was outside playing. No one had no knowledge of him being just relieved for sexual assault, and he had a 20-year criminal history. And basically, the little girl was outside. He lured the little girl with some candy. He was like, "Hey, come get some candy." And she was like, "Yay." And she goes into the house. He strangles and rapes her and kills her. So after, there was a public outcry. It was like, how can someone like this move into this community and nobody know about it? So now they have, after that, there were many laws that were enacted. So that this Megan's Law required federal statute mandated all 50 states to develop requirements for convicted sex offenders to register with local law enforcement agencies and to notify communities when they move close by. Okay, now I was gonna talk about now. A lot of there are a lot of the clinicians, professionals evaluations are, they have, a certain code of ethics that they have to follow by, especially when dealing with SVPs. They must stay abreast of and competent in their field and support their findings with current, valid, reliable, and sufficient knowledge and instrumental relevant to the legal question. They are to test rival explanations and to avoid being persuaded by personal, moral, or financial gain when making their evaluations, meaning like some under the table stuff where somebody might pay you to say, okay, this person is a sexually violent predator, we need to civil commitment, and they give you $100,000. I guess that's what they mean by following the code of ethics and doing what's right. Judge this person not off bias decisions, but medical proven ones are not, and make sure that you're doing everything that you can to properly diagnose this person, because when you civil commit somebody, there's no taking that back. In order for somebody to have their case overturned, it's going to take years and years and years and years, and by then they might be already dead. So I'm kind of watching my time. In most SVP cases, we assume that the role of the psychiatric diagnosis to address applicable legal standards and to other descriptive information as to what kind and how much a deficit in fundamental ability the offender is experiencing based on symptoms of mental disorder. Specifically, we may ask the expert following questions: what symptoms of the disorder are relevant to a propensity to sexual offend? What intensity frequency and severity do these symptoms affect the individual's ability to function? To what extent do they impact his or her sexual offending patterns? These are questions that the professional may be asked in court, And so, let's see. People think that, sex offenders are the most horrible people in the world, but I always try to say that every case is judged on a case-by-case basis. You do have some sexual offenders that are sick, that do need help, but you also have some that were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. You have some that could have been on drugs or just completely out of their mind and did some things that regret, were entitled to make mistakes. But I don't think that anybody should be held behind a discharge date. I think it's unconstitutional. And a lot of the men who are civil committed, especially the ones that have encountered, have they received their sentence back when they were 10 years, like not 10 years old, like young, to where there are a lot of them complaining that their due process rights were violated and they weren't offered the attorney. They were coerced into signing a paper that they knew nothing about. And the whole purpose of civil commitment is to rehabilitate the offenders and transition them back into society and teach them how to live like normal human beings. But researchers say that the studies say that that it appears, or it is, whatever, that the system is trying to keep them locked up as long as possible. They have a tier level that they must complete. It's 5 tiers. Each tier, everybody, they go up for evaluation every 6 months. And every 6 months, their immediate therapist or whoever they're assigned to their caseload will evaluate them, ask them questions, give them multiple tests. I know one includes them having like some type of wire or rubber band or something placed on their genital area, and they also show them pictures of I guess children, and if they get aroused, and that shows a sign of deviance and they possibly will not pass their evaluation. They're also given polygraph tests. I think it's just a way just to not let the person free. Like, they find every little reason to keep that person confined. And it personally violates their 8th Amendment rights, because it's cruel and unusual punishment, especially if someone have already served their time and paid their debt to society. I do believe that they should engage in treatment, but I also believe that it should be an option. It should not be a requirement when I've already served my sentence. So a recent study comparing recidivism rates of treated and untreated offenders found that upon release from prison, that there was virtually no difference in offenders who had received treatment and those who did not. SVPs received treatment if civilly committed. 32, some states have no statutory requirements that individuals in a question be considered treatable before they are adjudicated in SVP proceedings. The notion, once a sex offender, always a sex offender, incites fear but may represent a misleading and inaccurate myth to society. In fact, the recidivism rates for child molesters was found in a recent meta-analysis to be much lower than is commonly believed, 12.7% over a 5-year follow-up period. I'm watching my time, sorry y'all. Got one more minute. I think some things that we can do in order to fix these laws is in order to address the shortcomings found in a lot of these SVP laws, we should define in order to address the shortcomings of a lot of the SVP laws that are defined in the people that, I guess, the offenders are defined as having a mental abnormality, legislators will have to include mental health professionals in the process of formulating and rewriting SVP laws. I mean, these are the people who are diagnosing them, so they should have a major deal with writing the laws. So therefore, it's written correctly and it's not done on a biased or judgmental standpoint. Also states what SVP laws should revisit their current statutes, reassess specific elements of the mental health status required to be considered SVP, and initiate open dialogue rights of individual offenders, offer effective treatment to those who need it, and protect the community at large through greater accuracy in predicting and preventing future sexually violent offenses. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I just want to say, they should actually, there's nothing wrong with giving somebody treatment, and I do feel like society should stop judging sex offenders and stop using them, especially those who are civil commitment, because it's a big stress factor. They want them to fail. The program is meant for them to fail, not to rehabilitate them. You have individuals who were sexually assaulted as a child. They didn't have mother and father, so therefore they didn't get the proper treatment that they needed in order to deal with what they were going through. So in their mind, they thought it was okay, so they committed the same offense. Some of these people have an IQ level of 2-year-old. Everything, like I say, everything is judged on a case-by-case basis, and this program should really focus on helping these offenders transition and not taking their tears away that they have to do in order to complete the program. It's indefinite. The program is literally indefinite. It really is. So that concludes my general summarization of my paper. If you have any questions, you can email me